Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spicer Field on the campus of Tufts University here in Medford, Massachusetts. It is a brisk, windy Friday afternoon, but we are ready for some softball as your Tufts Jumbos take on the Mammoths of Amherst College. Thank you, everybody, for joining us to this broadcast presented to you by JumboCast. I'm Andrew Howe, joined alongside Jordan Burke for this doubleheader between two NESCAC opponents in a rematch of the NESCAC Conference Finals just last season. Tufts falling in that contest 1-0 here at Spicer. They're going to want to make sure that history does not repeat itself today.
Yes, Andrew, and let me just say something before we get into it. Not only am I super excited to get to call a doubleheader between what is seemingly the two best teams in the NESCAC, in the Jumbos and the Mammoths, but also it's been about 5 months since we've called a game together, Andrew.
It's been a while.
And let me just say, when we have, it's been pretty good in the past, so I'm excited to see that be applied now to the softball game. As you said, Andrew, you know, both these teams have been pretty damn good this season. You have the Jumbos currently ranked number 9, 17-1 on the season. The Mammoths 13-3. They were receiving votes to be ranked last week. However, they have fallen out of that conversation. Doesn't put a damper on the fact that they are having a great year overall. Now, I do have some interesting things written down here, Andrew. So, head-to-head, Tufts owns that matchup 6-3. However, those 3 losses, all at home. So it'll be an interesting, monster for the Jumbos to have to crawl back from, not having never beaten the Mammoths on their own home field.
It will be a very interesting thing to look at here. The Jumbos have taken a field. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for the Amherst Mammoths, as well as the defensive alignments here for the Jumbos. Batting first here for Amherst will be Megan Takeda. Afterwards will be Lovejoy, followed by Lee and Poole. The DP for today's first game is Danny Torres, where we're likely to see her on the mound later on, followed by Butler batting 6th, Finkelstein batting 7th, who's had a great season so far, Rangel and Moravec. Kong in right field will not be batting, and we could take a look at the Jumbos here. First pitch underway here at Spicer, and on the mound for the Jumbos is Emily Doty, a freshman who's had a terrific first campaign of the year.
Yeah, Andrew, she comes into today's game with a 0.34 ERA tentatively. She did pitch in a game against Brandeis earlier on in the week, but that game was suspended due to darkness. Don't know whether or not that one will be picked up, but her stats have not been updated to reflect the fact that in 5 innings pitched, she gave up no runs, so it's actually lower than a 0.34 ERA at the moment.
2 balls, no strikes to Megan Takeda, who's had a great career in the NESCAC, and as a member of the Mammoths has been a spectacular leadoff hitter, hitting .525 with a 1.233 OPS so far this season. He's able to hit for a little power from that left side, which is always a good thing out of your first batter out. 3-0 count upstairs, and a 4-pitch walk to open things up as Takeda reaches to open the game for the Mammoths.
That'll be Takeda's 9th walk on the season. Last week in the doubleheader that they played against Bowdoin, Takeda was 0 for 3, but still continued to find ways to get on the bases, and when she did, had 3 stolen bases over the course of both of those games. She currently leads the team with 9 stolen bases on 10 attempts, and with the way that both these teams have such good offense, wouldn't be surprised to see her run. I thought she was about to run.
You can see her take that early secondary lead as first pitch into Rachel Lovejoy is up for a ball. Lovejoy hitting .370 on the season. Had a hit in the first 14 games of the Mammoths year. Had that streak broken, unfortunately, against Bowdoin the last time this Mammoth team took to the field. But still a very big threat, especially with the runner on base.
Yeah, not to mention Lovejoy's, just like everybody else on this Mammoths lineup, is hitting well above 300 on the season. It really just goes to show the amount of offense that both of these teams provide.
You can see Jacobson behind the plate, continuing to check Takeda as she goes aggressive on her secondary leads. Count 1 ball, 2 strikes. Doty looking to bring her first strikeout to this first game.
He's not standing like that all game, is he?
2-2. The pitch, swung on, popped up, behind home plate. Jacobson is able to make the play, and there's one away.
Yeah, nice job there by Jacobson to track the ball down as it was fouled up behind her. It came off to the right, the ball's going to the left because of the way that the wind's blowing, and just able to go out and grab that ball for the first out of the game. It appears we have minor technical difficulties. We do apologize for that as we try to resolve the issues.
We will have the one camera up for now. Autumn Lee comes up to the plate, takes that pitch inside for ball one. Lee, the senior out of Pacific Washington, also hitting .370, 12 hits, 7 of them doubles. So having a large percentage of your hits be for extra bases is certainly a scary sight for the Jumbos. The 1-0. Swung on. Pop fly into left field. Yusuf Polsky is there to make the play. Tagging and looking is Takeda, but Yusuf Polsky is going to be able to get that ball in to prevent the advancement.
And with the way that the wind is blowing and how fly balls are going to travel out there, you saw Takeda come off of first base, and just in the event that Yusuf Polsky can't make the play on that ball, can try and get over to third. So no tag play was really going to happen there, just because she had to go back, to go forward, to come back again, so that you don't get thrown out in a double play for being off the bag on the fly ball. But with the speed, you just have to play aggressive no matter what if you are the Jumbos and get the ball in as quickly as possible.
Dakota already with 9 steals on the season. Has been caught once. Also had 14 steals back in 2022. Certainly a threat on the base path. Is definitely the most aggressive base runner on the Mammoth side. You can see her continuing to look there as that pitch goes in there for a strike. This is Doty's second start of the season and of her collegiate career, as she is a freshman, but has proven herself to be a really valuable pitcher as she forces a swing and a miss for a 1-2 count.
Yeah, Doty, like Sky Johnson for the Jumbos, is one of those strikeout-oriented pitchers, tends to be more in the punch-out zone than getting a lot of weak contact in the ground balls like you get out of Sophia DeCoco. So when you are ahead 1-2 as the Jumbos, you tend to feel like you're in a pretty good spot when you have a strikeout-dominant pitcher.
Yeah, and so a strikeout to end things after a 4-pitch walk. Doty settles in and ends the top of the first inning without a hit being allowed. We're going to head to the bottom of the first inning, still scoreless. We'll be right back. Heading to the bottom of the first inning, the Jumbos coming to bat. Let's take a look at their starting lineup. Batting first and playing second base is Bella Jimenez, followed there by Michelle Edelman. Kaylin Perucci gets us the day at the DP. Josie Steinberg at shortstop will clean up. Moore followed by Leimbach, Newman, Jacobson, and Yusuf Polsky batting ninth. And we take a look around the defensive alignment as well. In the outfield for the Mammoths is Takeda, Lovejoy, and Kong, who is not hitting to start the game off. In the infield at third base is Poole Lee at shortstop, Ronhell at second base, Finkelstein at first. Behind the plate is Butler feeding to Moravec, who will get the start for this first game.
Yeah, and Moravec coming off of an incredible outing. Her last time out, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs allowed. She was just absolutely dominant against Bowdoin in that first game of their doubleheader, recording the win in a 5-0 Mammoths win at the end of the day. But she will have her work cut out for her, as the top part of this Jumbo's lineup, of the first 4 hitters, 3 of the, or actually, I believe all 4 are hitting above 400, with 2 of the girls in that first 4 hitting above 500. The leadoff hitter, Jimenez, and in that cleanup spot, Josie Steinberg, both hitting over 500 on the season.
Moravec deals a ball for her first pitch of the outing. Bella Jimenez, the junior, performing excellently in her role as that second baseman slash DP this year. 514 with a 1.166 OPS. Able to get the ball in play and have those pieces of contact fall for hits. The 1-0. In there for a strike.
Over the course of the last week, the Jumbos have played 3 games, a doubleheader against Hamilton, both of those 13-1 Mercy Rule wins, and one of the 2 games against Brandeis that ended in a 10-5 win over the full 7 innings. Jimenez in that time, 6 for 9, scored 5 runs and had 2 doubles, both of which against Hamilton. So She's definitely grown as a power hitter from where she was last season, where she'd occasionally have a double, maybe a home run every now and then, but it was primarily base hits. Now she's really dominating the double scene.
Fly ball into right field. Kong is there to make the play, and there's one away. We mentioned how the last time these two teams faced off, it was in the NESCAC final. It was a 1-0 contest. The only run being scored was a sacrifice bunt scoring a run in the top of the 7th inning. So the offenses were not working there, but all the statistics imply that this will be an active day in the batter's box and on the base paths.
It'll either be that or the way that both pitchers have looked so far today, plus how they've looked on the season. It could also just be no hits for either team all the way through, and it will just be a pitching powerhouse. Really don't know which side you're going to get here when you do have dominance on both sides of the ball.
Michelle Edelman steps into the box. The two-time All-NESCAC first-teamer. He's had an excellent senior season as well. 453 batting average, 717 slugging. 4 doubles, 2 triples, and 2 homers with 14 runs batted in. Count 1-1, nobody on here in the bottom of the first for the Jumbos. Moravec will deal to Edelman, and that pitch is just in there for a strike on the outside corner.
Moravec dishing nicely so far. You have some really good eyes in the Jumbos lineup, and she's been able to fool Edelman twice now on both the inside and outside edges, getting her just hesitating to swing, thinking that it could be called a ball.
Upstairs, 2-2. The freshman Moravec, also very solid hitter throughout the season as well. Will be in the lineup, batting 9th, batting 400 with a 773 slugging percentage. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Edelman. Pitch outside.
With a full count to Edelman, this pitch will matter a whole lot. Edelman, the leader of steals for the Jumbos, has 9 stolen bases on the year, and over the course of the last week had tacked on 2 more to that count. So if she gets on base, I wouldn't be surprised to see her run.
The payoff. Just upstairs. That is a no call at ball 4 as Edelman will reach first base.
Now both teams have issued a walk to the fastest player on either side of the ball. So with Edelman on base and Perucci the batter, I mean, she's having an incredible week, Andrew. I mean, 8 for 9 over the course of the week, including 3 for 3 days, a couple of doubles tacked on there, a whole bunch of RBIs and runs scored. With a bat that's as hot as it is right now for Caitlin Perucci, if Edelman runs, I mean, that just has run written all over it for the Jumbos.
We'll see if she goes here. Edelman has 9 stolen bases on the season, has been caught once, had 15 steals in 2022. Of course, leading the team in that category and looking to maybe get aggressive here or hope that Perucci is able to get you in with that power that she has. The 1-0. 2-0. So Moravec once again behind in the count early on in this game. Perucci, as you mentioned, has been incredibly hot. 3 for 3 in the first game against Brandeis. She'll look to continue that success here. The 2-0 in there for a strike.
And again, this is some real nice outside excellence to these right-handed batters coming from Moravec. The pitches that she is missing with have been competitive, ones that you can try and get a hitter to swing and miss at, and what hasn't been missed has been perfectly placed for a strike.
Pitch is lined foul down the left field line. Count will be 2-2. Perucci is 11 for her last 14 with 2 doubles and a home run. Those are some numbers.
Yeah, I'd certainly say that. And that home run has her atop the leaderboard for the Jumbos, leading the team, tied with Rachel Moore, 3 home runs.
The pitch outside. Edelman again taking an aggressive secondary lead after the pitch is thrown. The count is 3-2.
Yes. So Moravec finding herself in the same position that she had with Edelman with full count, and this pitch mattering even more than the last one because now hitting over 500 is Josie Steinberg on deck.
Runner goes, pitches skied deep into center field. Going back is Lovejoy. She's not going to be able to make the play, and the runners are going to advance. Going all the way to third is Edelman. She's going to round third, not going to go towards home. But it's a double for Perucci, and the Jumbos have runners on second and third with one out.
Yeah, the wind carrying out into center field. Perucci, we said she has excellent power. A whole bunch of doubles on the season, not to mention the 3 home runs she has. And right there with the wind carrying out and getting a solid piece of contact, just able to drive that one. And, I mean, physics helping out and carrying that one just over the head of Lovejoy. Edelman had to freeze because with a fly ball that is definitely, you know, an attempt can be made to catch it by Lovejoy. Edelman having to freeze there will save the Mammoths from being down 1-0, but now Josie Steinberg 1 out, no double play available, 2 in scoring position. This is exactly where the Jumbos want to be early on in this revenge match.
Pitches upstairs, 1-0. Josie Steinberg, absolute scorching start to this season. 533, 540 on base, a 667 slugging percentage for a 1.2 OPS. One and 0. 1-1. Also leading the team in batting average, hits, and tied for RBIs with Perucci. Was named the NESCAC Player of the Week as well in the last week of the Jumbos' trip to Florida to end their spring break.
I believe that was also the same week where Amherst pitcher Danny Torres-Guerra was named.
Ground ball right back to the pitcher. They're going to try to make the play at the plate. Edelman is called out. Good thinking by Moravec to make sure a run does not score. Jumbos aggressive on the base paths, did not pay up this time as Steinberg will reach first. Runners now on the corners with 2 away.
I'm a little bit curious why that was the base running call. Soft ground ball right back to the pitcher, you're almost never going to score. I mean, I can understand asking the runner on third in Edelman to go about halfway down the line, make the pitcher think that maybe she has to throw back to first or to third to try and get you out there, but I don't know, some sort of combination of Perucci coming in hard and Edelman not being able to retreat back to third because of that somehow gets her thrown out at the plate by a mile. And that's all the pressure now off of this situation here for the Mammoths. Now they're 1 out away from putting up no runs on the board in what was a heavily favored Jumbo's position.
More grounds, 1 foul. The senior third baseman, though, is definitely no slouch when it comes to the offense. Also hitting above 400 at 482. 27 hits on the season with 3 home runs, as you said, tying Perucci for this Jumbo lead.
Yeah, can't mention those 3 home runs without acknowledging the fact that 2 of them came in the same inning of a game. I mean, how rarely do you see that?
The 0-1, upstairs, runner goes, but because of the runner on third base, Steinberg will be able to reach second safely.
Yeah, now that's a good base running call there by the Jumbos. You can pretty much take that base freely. If throw attempts to get Steinberg out at second, you just come home and bring in that first run of the game on the delayed double steal. And, I mean, with 2 outs, there's no reason to throw down there anyway because 1 out ends the inning no matter what. So Jumbos get a free base, runner in position, and yet again find themselves in the same spot that they were just a batter ago.
It does take away that force out at second if a grounder is hit up the middle, but for Amherst, that's only one of the many ways you can end this inning without a run being scored. 2-1 to Moore is upstairs.
Third 3-ball count of the inning for the Mammoths. I did say early on that with the way that all these teams have, that both these teams have all these girls with high batting averages, it will be a little difficult to get outs. But for 3-ball counts to happen this early on in the game,
Grounded to short. Lee will make the play at first base to end the inning. So 1 hit, 2 women left on base for the Jumbos, but they do not get a run across. We'll head over to the second inning. Score still yet to have between the Mammoths and the Jumbos. Still scoreless between the Amherst Mammoths and the Tufts Jumbos. Emily Doty takes the mound again for her second inning of work. We'll have Torres-Guerra, Butler, and Finkelstein to deal with here. It is the middle to bottom of the Mammoth lineup, but certainly not something that you can just scoff at. Both teams just having incredible numbers offensively so far this season, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. As I had mentioned before, both of these teams, every single one of their starting 9 is hitting above that 300 mark. Torres-Guerra up at bat right now, 436, and she's doing all of that while pitching at a 0.93 clip. I mean, talk about a season.
2-0. You expect Torres-Guerra to get the start in the second game, as with most likely Sofia de Coco. Kind of the aces going at it in the second game. Not necessarily something you always see, but an interesting deviation. The 2-0 is in there for a strike. Torres-Guerra also with a great offensive season in 2022, hitting .387 with a .570 slugging percentage. So,
and again, acting as the two-way player with such a great season that she had last year, found herself second team All-NESCAC, I believe, Andrew.
yeah.
Only player from Amherst who won the NESCAC who was on an All-NESCAC team.
You know, that's definitely something that would not be expected, especially out of the NESCAC champions, but goes to show how deep this lineup runs and how good of a playoff run they also had late in the year. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch is lined right down the third base line. Foul.
Looked to me like that ball took a bounce in fair ground beforehand, but it has to stay fair after the bag went foul. And the Jumbo's just barely getting away with that one. With the way that ball was heading all the way down to the left field corner and Yusupolsky playing kind of over in left center, double easy.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Once again, Doty deals just downstairs for the count to go full. Edelman shaded slightly towards the left side. The 3-2 pitch is fouled right back.
We'll do it again. Both teams seeming to love these full counts today. Andrew, everyone has different takes on this, but full count, hitter favored or batter favored?
I think it's probably hitter favored because you are expecting a strike to come through, and we'll see if it does right here. Pitch is swung on, looped to the shortstop, Steinberg, who will put away the first out of the inning.
I kind of tricked you there. I said hitter favored or batter favored, kind of giving you the choice of saying it's always hitter favored.
Falling for your tricks once again. One away here in the top of the second inning, Jess Butler comes to the plate. The catcher, senior out of Nicetown, Indiana, also putting up a great season, has really blossomed offensively here in 2023.
Yeah, 368 batting average with 3 doubles and 3 home runs on the season. 13 RBIs, putting her next to the top of the table for the Mammoths.
And the big change for her is the power has really gone up, already matching her total in doubles and home runs, or eclipsing the mark, depending on which one you look at. Same amount of extra base hits already as she had in 2022. And you can see that in the slugging percentage. It was .351 in 2022. Almost doubled to .684 this year.
Yeah, I definitely call that some sort of a change with the offense. And that kind of goes all around for this Mammoth lineup. But when... Oh, that's foul. Yeah. Newman not able to grab that one. As I was saying, the offense all around has kind of spiked for the Mammoths. If you look back a season ago at all the statistics that every hitter and every pitcher was recording, every number is worse than it is now. They really have just evolved as a team, taking that NESCAC championship season, bringing in some freshman talent in, some of the players that we have in the game today, like Morvik, the pitcher for the Mammoths. That one's also fouled. And they've taken that lineup, they've strengthened it, and everyone who was on the team previously playing last season has also just improved, put in the time and the effort to improve as a player and as a teammate, and they're seeing overall success for the team because of it.
And they did not graduate a lot of members from that NESCAC championship team. One of the only notable ones, Talia Bloxham, was the pitcher, but of course has been filled in quite nicely by the one starting today in Moravec. The 1-2 is fouled back. On deck is Finkelstein for the Mammoths, who has had a terrific season. Getting a runner on base for her, definitely going to be exactly what Amherst wants, because if there's runners on base, there's a good chance that she's going to be able to drive them in.
Oh, yeah, she's really blossomed as an incredible home run hitter. She has 6 extra base hits on the season, Andrew. Every single one of those a home run.
The 1-2 is chopped towards the first base side. And there to make the play is Leimbach. Fumbled it a little bit, but because that ball was hit so hard, didn't make too much of a difference, and there's now 2 away in the top of the second inning.
Yeah, Leimbach getting that ball before the runner was even a quarter of the way down the line. Doesn't matter if you bobble it, you just pick it up and you're already standing right on the bag with where that ball is placed, and getting a crucial out before you face the very dangerous Randy Finkelstein.
Strike 1 issued by Doty. Finkelstein 405 with an 833 slugging percentage. As you mentioned, Jordan, 17 hits, 6 of them home runs. 17 runs batted in as well. Had 3 home runs in a 2-game set versus WPI on March 22nd. And has really just taken off from there. Pitch in there for a strike. Count 0-2 quickly.
Yeah, we're not in a great vantage point here in the press box to see elevation high-low for the strike call. And kind of with the way that Finkelstein is standing, she's slouching down a little bit, so the strike zone at the knees does dip a little bit more than where we're used to seeing it.
No balls, 2 strikes. Doty trying to put away the second inning, and there she does. Swing and a miss. And Finkelstein is down on strikes. 1-2-3 for Emily Doty, the freshman, having a great start to this NESCAC Finals rematch. We'll be right back with the bottom of the second inning. Headed to the bottom of the second inning here in this first of 2 contests between Amherst and Tufts. Haley Leimbach, the freshman first baseman, steps into the box.
Leimbach hitting .385 on the season with 9 RBIs and 5 doubles. Of those 9 that she has, 5 of them batted in over the course of the last week, where she's gone 6 for 9 and brought home 5.
Currently riding a 4-game hitting streak. 0-1 count from Moravec. Deals inside for ball 1. The last game that has stats recorded, which is the first of that 2-game doubleheader versus Brandeis. Of course, the second game unable to be completed due to just darkness. Leimbach was 3 for 4, 3 singles and 3 RBIs. Looking to continue that streak here. The 1-1 is just outside.
And Haley Leimbach is exactly what the Jumbos kind of needed between last season and this season. They had a massive hole going into last season at first base, and they tried to patch that with Nicole Russo, and it worked pretty well, although Russo was playing with an injured shoulder, and having Leimbach step in has just been wonderful.
Grounded to short. Lee is going to have to make a tough play to get the throw across, and she knows better than to risk making an error. It will be an infield hit for Leimbach, and there's a runner on with nobody away.
Yeah, I mean, great defense there. Or at least an attempt by Autumn Lee. It was a great job to pick up the ball, but with exactly where that was positioned and Amherst doing something kind of unconventional to softball, playing the shortstop and the second basewoman more up the middle than off to the sides, having to dive to pick off that ball is going to result in an infield hit almost every single time. But regardless, it was a nice little flash of leather there.
Newman leaps that one deep into right field. Cog's not going to be able to make the play, and it will be extra bases. Rounding second, headed towards third, is Leimbach, and she will reach third base safely. It's a double once again for Lindsay Newman, second of the game for the Jumbos. And There are once again, for the second straight inning, runners on second and third.
Yeah, even better position, though, for the Jumbos right now. Previously second and third with 1 out. Now second and third, no outs due to the double from Newman. Just a great piece of hitting all around. Ball carrying out to right field. Again, the wind is pushing balls deeper than they would normally go. So we're seeing that really work in favor of the Jumbos right now, having some long flies that just keep carrying. And Kong not able to grab that one. Puts the Jumbos right back in a position to score some runs. However, the last time they had this, they put up a 0 on the board. Moravec able to work out of that one. We'll see if she can do it again.
Pitch to Jacobson is just inside. Emma Jacobson, similar to the opposing catcher in Butler, also having a resurgence in terms of power on the offensive end. Hitting for a very similar average, but already matching her extra base total this year. The 1-0. Inside, 2-0.
Yeah, last weekend, Jacobson did take an 0 for 5 over the course of the last 3 games that we have statistics for, but she did walk twice and later came around to score. So while she may not be getting on base as often as she would like to, she definitely is still providing a strong at-bat no matter what. Good eye, and, finds herself in these 3 ball counts a whole lot and has come out of it more often than not with walks.
Impressive thing out of Jacobson. 5 walks on the season, only 1 strikeout. So able to put the ball in play when strikes are thrown across the plate. 3-0 count. We'll see if Jacobson has the green light. She does. Swinging at the first pitch. Once again, they're going to send the runner home. And lineback is going to be called out. Moving to second, though, on the play is Jacobson. So another fielder's choice for the Jumbos. It's the same situation on the base paths, but now one away.
Yeah, and this is where I think the Jumbos were attempting to do in the last inning, where you have that ground ball situation and the runner on third comes home and just tries to get the pitcher to freeze. However, lineback not as speedy as Edelman. That play tends to not work as well. But because of the amount of time that lineback did stall for, not only is Jacobson able to make it to first, she's able to turn and head to second as well. So now same exact base running situation, just with 1 out on the board for Kat Yusupolsky.
Senior left fielder. Having, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over again whenever a Jumbo comes to the plate, but a great season so far, hitting .351. Had a great Florida trip in 2022. Had cooled down a little bit after that, but so far doing pretty good up here in Massachusetts.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Yusupolsky wanted to work on in between seasons. Last season, as you said, Andrew, came out of their Florida trip hitting .385 and ended the season in the 200s. Definitely cooled off offensively, and she really wanted to work on that between seasons and, have a good Florida trip again, as the Jumbos have every year, and emerge from it with the same level of excellence and pursue that throughout the entire season.
And so far, since returning back from Florida, things have been working pretty well for Yusupolsky. Already has 4 hits in the Jumbo's first 3 recorded games here at Spicer Field. 1 ball, 2 strikes with 1 away. Yusupolsky swings the first pitch, is bobbled there by Poole. They're going to make the play towards home again, and they will call Newman out at the plate. Another interesting decision to send the runner home off of that play. The bobble out of Poole maybe was the signal, but Lee was able to pick it up and make a nice throw to the plate.
Well, that's just poor base running by the Jumbos there. I mean, off the bat, that ball had an opportunity to be picked off out of the air, which is why you saw Newman hesitate. However, off the bat, Jacobson coming into third forces Newman to now run home, especially after the ball is dropped. So once that is the situation, you're in a difficult position for the Jumbos, where you can't turn back to third. You can only go home, and ultimately at the end of the day, Moravec and the Mammoths find themselves yet again working out of a situation where they had second and third and a low number of outs.
They rule that an E5 here at the scorer's table. And so it allows for runners on the corners now. Bella Jimenez, the leadoff hitter, coming to the plate. Flew out to right in her last at-bat.
I do agree with that ruling. That ball should have been picked up out of the air, and everyone should have stayed where they were, second and third, with the 2 outs. However, not being able to pick that one up, you're just lucky as the Mammoths to have been bailed out on the strong throw from Lee home to get Newman. A lot of things working in their favor there, both with the poor base running decisions by the Jumbos on top of Autumn Lee's incredible throw.
The 1-1 from Moravec is swung on and lined into left field. Going to be a tough play, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Takeda fumbles the ball, and that means another runner might go around. They're going to send home Yusupolsky. And that is 2 runs coming in for the Jumbos. Jimenez stands on second base with 2 RBIs.
Well, we had been saying, Andrew, that she has really stepped it up offensively. Again, hitting above 500 on the season. Bella Jimenez has mainly been hitting doubles, but right there, the base hit good enough to get things done. Advances to second on the throw, and the fumble from Takeda in left field, who has traditionally been great defensively. And fumbling that brings home a second run, and the Jumbos not able to capitalize on the runs they had potentially to score in the first inning or in the early parts of this one. Right there, capitalize and get themselves out to an early lead.
So the first couple of times with runners in scoring positions, Jumbos weren't able to capitalize, but this time they made them pay with a nice piece of hitting out of Bella Jimenez. Score now 2-0 here in the bottom of the second inning, as Michelle Edelman comes to the plate. Walked in her first at-bat, was called out at home back in the first. The 0-1. Swung on and missed.
And that's something a little atypical from Michelle Edelman. If you look back to only a season ago as a hitter, was very low swing rates at pitches that were on that borderline ball strike zone. But with the emergence of the offense and the emergence of her own power, she's swung a heck of a lot more.
Grounded up the middle. Lee picks it up but stumbles, which means that the runner will reach first safely. Actually, going over to second is Edelman as well, as Lee is a bit shaken up off that play. You hope everything's all right over there.
I think there's a little bit of confusion that happened. Caitlin Perucci came running around to try and grab Edelman's bat. Might have confused Lee as to whether or not a runner was coming home. Threw home just to be safe, but with the speed from Edelman, advances over to second.
Athletic staff coming out to check in on Lee. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Spicer Field. It looks like Autumn Lee is headed back into the game. Definitely a welcome sign if you're a fan of the Mammoths. Unfortunately for her, it did allow for the runners to advance to second and third. Score still 2-0 in the bottom of the second inning. They're going to allow Moravec a couple of warm-up pitches. Due up here for the Jumbos, though, Jordan, Caitlin Perucci with 2 runners on.
Yeah, and she already has a double on the day as well. So in another position with runners in scoring position, Perucci, who's now 9 for her last 10, excluding Game 2 of the doubleheader against Brandeis. Yeah, I mean, this is the dream come true, isn't it? You're already up 2-0 with the ability to tack on even more.
First pitch is pop foul. Jimenez on third base, Edelman at second. And Perucci looking to drive both of them home.
Yeah, with the speed from Edelman, you could argue a base hit brings home 2.
Here's the pitch. Upstairs. You can see Edelman taking an aggressive lead off of second base after the pitch is thrown. If you can bait a throw over, that is likely a run coming in. So I don't think that much will come of that.
Yeah, but with 2 outs, you can't imagine that you would throw down to second. So if you are Edelman, you can take as big of a lead as you would like. I don't know why I had so much difficulty saying that, but you can take as big of a lead as you would like, especially on the secondary runoff. As much space as you would like. You shouldn't see a throw down there, because if you do, it's almost always a run that comes home.
The 2-1. 3-1. You can almost get a head start on every pitch in its own way, because you don't have to react, wait for contact. There already are 2 outs, so as soon as the pitch is thrown, you just can automatically start your run. If the contact is not made, you can just head back to second. 3 balls, 1 strike. 2 on here for the Jumbos. Perucci sends one deep into center field. Going back is Lovejoy. Go back, and it is gone. A 3-run blast out of Caitlin Perucci, her 4th on the season. And it is an incredible offensive burst for the Tufts Jumbos. They lead 5-0 in the bottom of the second.
Caitlin Perucci, now 10 for her last 11, has a double and a home run on the day, retakes the Jumbo lead 4 home runs with her 4th of the season and with fashion. Second time now, Perucci against Moravec. Moravec finds herself behind Perucci in a 3-ball count. Always.
It'll be 8 NCAA on hell in their batting average.
430 if you don't over.
Here in the top of the third. So now internet connectivity issues we've had here at Spicer Field been recorded. Takeda reaching on an error by the second baseman Jimenez. Inning. And now is quickly down 0-2.
Check swing foul for shake up what the defense in that spot, and Jimenez in as like greenness, because she is more occasionally back to DP, and ultimately doesn't matter in the end.
ERA, 22 innings pitched with 9 strikeouts. It's another good appearance to.
With the way that is there also a change at
Poole, who was previously at third base, may have some as much lateral movement, and instead giving the role.
Effectively no change in terms of arm strength. Third, shouldn't be much of a change for her. She does timeout through 2 innings, gave up 3 hits, 3. Finds herself
3-0. Lineback singled in her last at-bat home.
Yeah, with a 5-0 lead, there's
gone for only 1 complete game time. Lineback works a walk.
15, Emmett.
I believe she desired.
Substitution, Uvos are trying to do strikes, definitely.
Takes ball 1. A first pitch ball of
1-1 now the count.
You said maybe not as imminent, however.
Innings to play for 3 runs for get runners in scoring position. So
no outs here in the bottom of the third.
Yeah, nice job by foul. It is considered in play, and Newman.
Here's the payoff.
Falling behind in the count zone, but if you give her something enticing in the middle, job there to have a little bit of a drop at the end so that Newman swings over.
And reached via fielder's choice.
See, now where I know a little bit, up until now, it's just been an interesting.
Lineback has not attempted a steal, but will head back.
Yeah, and after having what is now just going to go instead of over Lovejoy's head, just the plate again.
Then piece of contact, and then 2 is 0-2, as now has to per side
part of the play.
Latest of internet kill to Jimenez. The runner is on. Field on the campus of Tufts University. We again apologize for some of have been settled out. Not allowed a hit.
Andrew, come on. I know as I do.
The 3-hitter Lee
had what is probably the best batted ball for the Mammoths today, that long. Now, if I am looking at this correctly, Andrew, that is the 4th infield fly.
Poole makes her way to the dish. Takes that first pitch for a strike at bat to end the first inning. And now once again getting a shot in the 4th. And you compare that, goes to show how much better they have been at getting runners on base and also scoring them, as you can take a look at the scoreboard.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll touch on that in a second.
Ground ball to short. Steinberg.
You had to say it. That's all I'm going to say. Not going to touch anything more on that. But as you were saying, Andrew, the Jumbos, conversely, are their 3rd time, nearing 4th times through the lineup. That largely in part because of all the walks that they've had. And that's just goes to show the level of excellence that the Jumbos have had in the circle as opposed to the Mammoths. The ability of Doty to consistently throw first pitch strikes has been nowhere near matched by either of the 2 pitchers that the Mammoths have thrown out so far today.
So, a runner on here for Amherst.
Jacobson went down to try and block that one, just went through her leg. Now have a runner in scoring position where they find themselves down 5 with some of the better power hit.
Torres Guerra, of course, again, just having another great season. He's kind of due for some extra base hits. Hasn't been there as much, but of course, we're sure to see that soon. If you take a look at her previous year statistics, 4 doubles, 2 triples, 3 home runs, and still a scary force right in the heart of the Amherst lineup.
Yeah, and she's only a sophomore. I mean, you have the rest of the season plus 2 more years of what has been nothing shy of excellence. That one, a wild pitch, and the runner now on 3rd.
Some slight mistake. Her hand at a unfortunate angle may have slipped a little bit and ended up in the backstop.
Yeah, it looked like an attempt at an outside rise pitch, which board for the Mammoths. Infield going to come in, talk. Outfielders also going to have a quick little conversation themselves. Interesting to note, no coaches out there. This is entirely called for by the players. In terms of team chemistry from last season to this season for the Jumbos, finding themselves, with not a whole lot of changes in terms of the lineup or the roster, just a whole bunch of freshmen coming in, not many graduating last season.
The 2-2 is grounded to Steinberg. They will allow the runner to score. The throw to first is in time, and there's 2 away. But a run does come home. Score now 5-1 in favor of the Jumbos. Guerra, that is her 7th RBI on the season, and gets Amherst a much-needed run to cut the deficit to 4.
Yeah, so, we saw in the previous inning the Jumbos trying to play for that mercy rule, and now that becomes a little bit harder to do. Now you're only halfway there as opposed to the exact margin that you need to be. Or instead of more than that halfway point, you no longer have done the bulk of the work because you've given up a run. So now 4 of the 8 that are required in the next 2 innings becomes a little bit harder to do.
Finkelstein on deck. You always have to be wary of that if you are. Jimenez makes the play, and the Jumbos escape with only one run given up.
Get on the bases. That time just playing it much safer, much slower. Just casual step over, sit, wait. It's starting to show some signs of life from a team that had been so offensively dominant so far this season. I don't think there had been any game where they'd put less than 3 runs up on the board, if I remember correctly. And we'll see if they can turn some things around here, get through this inning quickly, get the bats up again, as they do have, a power hitter in Randy Finkelstein who will lead off in that top of the 5th. Definite home run threat and an attempt. What should be, some of the better batters to throw out as you're trying to climb back into this game.
And you saw perhaps that confidence instilled back into Doty based off of that conference on the mound after 2 errant pitches allowed for the runner to advance from first all the way around to 3rd. And she really settled down after that, allowed 2 ground balls, and all of a sudden the inning's over with only 1 run given up in what could have been much worse.
And you want to talk about being in a much worse situation. You got to be the Mammoths and be a little bit afraid right now. Coming into this, you are facing the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Edelman, 1 for 1 with that single and a walk. Following her up, none other than Caitlin Perucci, who's had the 2 biggest hits of the day for the Jumbos, a long fly double and, of course, the 3-run home run. And then Josie Steinberg, who, again, has just been one of the harder players in the NESCAC, or you could even go as far to say in all of Division 3 to get out, as she is listed as one of the 5 Jumbos to watch out for a potential Division 3 Player of the Year award.
0-1 to Edelman, her 3rd time up. So has reached base both times. Scored on that home run from Perucci, who's on deck. Break still in the game. The pitch is grounded foul.
Edelman leads the team in walks. Came in today with 5, now has 6 on the season. Not quite in a position to be walked right now, definitely in a pitcher favored count right now, but she does have her name flashing up in a bunch of the team leads, stolen bases, runs, triples with 2.
Every great season that she's had, somehow continuing to build on it year after year, has been a really impressive sight to see. The 2-2
Poole almost perfectly positioned to pick that one out of the air, stuck her glove out with the amount of velocity that had on it, just got past her, and Edelman with another. This is, again, I feel like I've said it a lot this game because it has just kind of been the case. It's the exact spot the Jumbos want to be in. They have their better batters up at the bat with the faster batters up on the bags.
Perucci, fly ball into right field. Kong is able to make the play, running in. Edelman stays at first, and that'll be the first time that Perucci is retired this game.
And excluding what was the suspended game, that's actually the first time that she's been put out in her last 8 at-bats. So for what had been up until this point the toughest out to get in the Jumbos lineup, getting that out right there and almost doubling up Edelman at first, just shallow fly ball. She's lucky she didn't get caught there. Oh,
she's going to go. Throw over to Poole. The throw was good, but gets past the shortstop. They're going to make the play over to third as Edelman will advance. Bet gets past Lee as well. And Edelman will run all the way around the bases off of a stolen bag attempt. 2 errors recorded. Unsure who we're going to award that to, but another run on the board for the Jumbos. That is Edelman's speed on full showcase.
So what I believe that should be is a successful stolen base for Edelman as the throw got away from, I believe Poole went over to catch that one. Ball going into center field, Edelman with her speed turning to third, which is just incredible base running by her, challenging the arm of what I believe was the center fielder, Lovejoy, trying to make the throw. And the wild throw going into the dugout lets her go over and score.
Steinberg grounds out to third. Nice play by Lee, and there's 2 away.
I'm a little bit behind on my scoring. Andrew, catch me up. Perucci was fly out to right field, and that was just 5-3?
5-3. Steinberg,
Gotcha,
Lee,
gotcha.
over to Finkelstein for the out.
And then we had first base, not first base, single, stolen base, advance, home, score. Okay, all caught up now. So Jumbo's matching that 1 spot on the board so far in the inning. Good way to battle back for them. I'm still processing what happened with advancing 3 bases in a matter of like 4 seconds. I don't know, land speed record might have been broken there.
Moore sends that deep into left center field. Lovejoy will settle under it and make the play. And that is the end of the 4th inning. But the Jumbos get a run onto the board, thanks in part to Edelman's quick moves on the base pass. Running all the way from first to home off of a couple of misplays by the Mammoths, and it brings the Jumbos back up to 5 in terms of the lead. They are up 6-1. We'll be right back after this. Headed back here at Spicer, top of the 5th inning between the Jumbos and the Mammoths. First of 2 games in this NESCAC doubleheader. Emily Doty remains on the mound where she's been excellent so far in her 2nd start of the year.
Yeah, only allowing that 1 hit and the 1 run scoring on a couple of defensive errors by the catcher and pitcher respectively. In that,
Randy Finkelstein, again, 2nd in the NESCAC in home runs with 6. And has kind of been on a tear as of late. The 1-1 swung on and fouled back.
and when you do have some of these true feast or famine power hitters, which Finkelstein traditionally isn't, but has kind of found herself in that position this season. As you said, 6 home runs and also leads her team in strikeouts. Anything that is in the strike zone, you're going to tend to see her swing at that. And as the pitcher, you can kind of abuse that by throwing some competitive balls, meaning that they are definitely outside of the strike zone, but look good enough to try and drive. And that's kind of where you saw in that last pitch, Doty is looking to try and record the first out of the top of the 5th.
The 2-2, just outside. The count goes full. I mean, you say feast or famine, but Finkelstein still hitting 400 on the year, so it's a difficult term, I believe, to put on her. She's had just an excellent season all around.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not the best term, but at the same time, she does also have a lot of strikeouts, having as good of a season as she is having. But in terms of the power and where the power is, the only extra base hits she has recorded are those home runs. So it does start to look a little, odd when you're hitting for power and it's either a home run or a strikeout.
America Renhel steps into the box. So Doty seems to be settled back in here in the 5th inning. Renhel shows bunt. Going to be a tough play. Jacobson fired.
It's brought out against the Jumbos. They had a couple of little bunt base hits, including the only run-producing sack bunt that came in the top of the 7th in what that was the NESCAC championship game. And Renhel, speedy for sure. Believe she's 6 for 8 on stolen base.
The plate. Briggs hitting 125 on the season, 2 for 16 her freshman year. Of course, Moravec was in this spot, that position. It will be Will Laredo's decision to bat their pitchers when they're in the game, which has been the strategy throughout this year.
Yeah, the Mammoths don't really have a whole lot of depth to their team, and if you do look at some of those bench bats, they're not producing a whole lot. I believe everyone else who is not in that starting group of players is hitting below 200 or below 250, with the exception of Olivia Aitken, who does have a 385 batting average. But aside from that, the bats on the bench have not been up to a whole lot for the Mammoths.
Swing and a miss there by Briggs. Count goes to 2-2. One away, Renhel off of first base. As you mentioned, she can steal, has 6 swipes on the year. Also had 3 in her action in 2022, although she was caught once. The 2-2. Just outside, the count goes full.
Before this inning, there had only been 2 other 3-ball counts that Doty had found herself in, and that number quickly doubled.
Well, here's the payoff to Briggs. She swings and misses.
And found herself in a full count or a 3-ball count before. Been 3-ball counts, has recorded the out 2 via the punch out.
First time up, so has reached base both times, but has yet to collect her first hit here in Medford. The pitch outside.
Yeah, both of these teams do difference, and one's just able to pick that one up was Edelman in the previous inning. And with that very few games on the season, the Jumbos have played 18 and attempted a steal, nor having not recorded a steal in either of those games. I think all the negatives work out there, which is away from hitting the bag.
And if it did go fair, I think that would have been extra bases. Lineback not really in for the 3rd out.
Yeah, extra bases plus heading towards the bullpen, probably would have bounced off the wall. Newman cutting in, might have had to go back to get it. Probably scores a run too.
But instead, we're back here. 1-2 count, runner on. Pitch just outside. And the count will go 2-2.
So, Andrew, we had talked about this before a game, where of the top 8 women in the net today, but with 2 outs in the walk, not quite showing as strong of an offensive showing as she has so far this season with that doubleheader.
Yep, the ground out to Jimenez ends the inning of the 5th frame. Now the Jumbos get an opportunity to put some more runs on the board with Briggs on. Sorry, softball. I'm here with Jordan. I'm Andrew Howe, joined here by Jordan Burke. We've done a lot of volleyball games in our past, so apologies for our confusion here. It just feels so natural to say that when I'm beside you, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean,
First out on the first pitch.
And the outfielders here for the Mammoths have gotten a fair amount of work, and aside from, the 2 balls hit by Perucci that carried out of bounds, outfielders, they've done a very nice job playing deep on it initially and tracking it back in order to record those outs. Andrew, I believe we have.
And when put into the lineup, 278 batting average with an 850 OPS, has hit for some good power, 5 base hits, and 3 of them have been for extra bases. 2 doubles and a triple with 6 RBIs.
Yeah, she's injured shoulder, affected a little bit of where she could play in terms of in the diamond itself. Found herself primarily at first, where you don't have to, make a whole lot of throws except for maybe an attempt to try and get an out at the plate. But aside from that, it affected her swing too. She stopped swinging laterally, started swinging more vertically, and wow, good piece of hitting right there.
On.
And so as I was about to start to talk about the fact that her swing has reverted back to what it had been 2 seasons ago and in the earlier parts of last season, where it was just, that more natural to, get behind a ball and then really drive it out. But that's just on me. Finding yourself back in that position where you make contact and you have the bat behind to really.
So obviously another excellent peak for the Jumbos now in the bottom of the 5th. The count is 1
and this is 6 at bats because there is that walk, but she still finds her way on the bases, and when she is
to Doty perhaps as Briggs sends that one to the backstop, Gibson is able to get on or not.
Yeah, to go now. Try doing that at like 12 times the speed, and it becomes like rise pitches that just are always perfectly positioned. And, sometimes it gets away.
So Epstein going to make another substitution. Kayla McCabe, I should say, coming in for another opportunity on behind at the plate.
Yeah, McCabe with a .313 batting average and the 16 at bats that she's had does have 2 RBIs on the season, and she's typically been in this second woman off the bench type of a big question for the Jumbos, and McCabe was one of the answers they were looking at. She did very well, but whenever available in these situations,
delivered. And in the times that she has started off this, showing that the offense is still there and just getting all the opportunities that she can get, already working a 3-0 count with
who took the first pitch have found themselves in 3-ball counts. Jacobson walked, and we'll see what happens with McCabe.
Going to be in there for a strike. You could see that McCabe was likely not swinging all the way through that pitch, wanting to make sure that the count is worked with the top of the lineup due up. Briggs trying to salvage this inning, but she's going to load the bases off of another walk. So Jacobson and McCabe both reach on base on balls, and Bella Jimenez will come to the plate. Another substitution potentially being made here by Coach Epstein, as it might just be Yusuf Polsky coming back in to replace McCabe, who just worked a walk.
And that is what appears to be happening. Again, you do have these re-entry rules in softball. So you get the opportunity to throw McCabe out there, get the at-bat, and then after that go back to Yusupolsky to have her run the bases for a little bit more speed and, veteran presence in terms of base running capabilities. And it looks as if we're going to have a quick conference in the circle, potentially a pitching change, and with that being the case, everyone is going to go into a little huddle. Got the outfielders talking, got the infielders talking, catcher and pitcher discussing with their coach, runners on the bases discussing with their coaches, and the batter Jimenez talking with the woman on deck, Michelle Edelman. Seemingly everyone engaged in conversation except for the umpires.
And we're in conversation as well, so it's kind of just...
It's expanding everywhere.
What goes around comes around.
Good fan presence. They're talking to one another. Our director, Niles, is talking with our camera person, Ethan. Everyone's just talking today.
Unfortunately, the conference did have to come to a close, at least on the field at Spicer. We're going to keep the commentary going.
Are you sure?
I will.
We
You can.
we don't have to.
You can leave if you want.
Absolutely not.
Jimenez up for the 4th time this game as Briggs remains in the game. Bases loaded with 1 away. Jumbo's up 6-1. Looking to try to break this game open. If all 3 runners come home, that might signal the end of the game.
That would indeed close it. One swing of the bat, and this one could be in the books for the Jumbos.
Ground ball to second. It gets past the second baseman. They're going to try to make the play at second, and it does not end up going. All runners advance. Rangel had trouble fielding that ground ball, and a run comes in. It's now 7-1.
Yeah, that one should be ruled.
Ruled out a base hit for Jimenez, so that is now her second on the day.
Second base hit, 3rd RBI for Bella Jimenez. That now means that the runners already in scoring position would put the game to a close, and Michelle Edelman, who's already...
First pitch is called a ball. As you said, Edelman has reached base all 3 times, walked in the first inning as well. The pitch from Briggs. Inside, 2-0. Yuzapolsky and Jimenez, the opportunity to come all the way around off of a good base hit is certainly there. The pitch to Edelman is outside. The count is worked to 3-0 again.
Will run as Perucci would be the batter.
It's a short. There's one. They go look. Jacobson comes home to score. It's now 8-1.
Yeah, what is easily the hardest thing to do, a whole lot of space to be playing with in order to turn a double play. And that just becomes even harder to do when the runner is Michelle Edelman, who's the fastest player.
Here comes Jimenez. She is going to score. And it's now 9-1. We'll see what the umpire decides to rule. But it looks like the dugouts are going to be cleared. The mercy rule has been achieved in the bottom of the 5th innings. Final score, Jumbos 9, Amherst 1. What a statement coming out from Tufts here in this first game. They remember what happened right back here in Spicer just a year ago. Getting revenge for that NESCAC final loss. Of course, they'll be right back here in a little bit for game 2, but a really, really good start for the Jumbos here in this doubleheader.
Yeah, Andrew, I mean, last season when runs scored from what was the 1 seed, the home team in the NESCAC championship, they had a big fat circle on the calendar for today's meeting with the Mammoths in game 1. Not quite the true revenge match that the Jumbos will likely have in game 2, as it should be Danny Torres-Guerra versus Sofia DeCoco, the pitching rematch as well as the team rematch of that NESCAC championship game. But in game 1, throwing Doty out into the circle, she was beyond excellent. 1 run on the 2 hits, with that 1 run, I believe, being unearned. And the Jumbos offense really coming to life, putting up 9 runs in the 5 inning. Hitting that mercy rule qualification really does just put a stamp of excellence on game 1 today.
Of course, as we mentioned, just the first half of a doubleheader, as the Jumbos take the first contest 9-1 in 5 innings. We'll be back in about 30 minutes for the second game. Andrew Howe and Jordan Burke signing off for now. Welcome back to Spicer Field, everybody on the campus of Tufts University. Game 2 of our doubleheader between the Tufts Jumbos and the Amherst Mammoths about to get underway. Tufts took the first contest, 9-1 final in 5 innings against Takeda, and that is how we will start off game number 1. Andrew Howe alongside Jordan Burke will have the get along through this first frame. First pitch to Takeda is a strike, and we are underway. Seven starts on the year, 4 complete games, a 6-1 upstairs for a ball. Some changes here defense as that pitch is lined foul. Nicole Russo, the new designated player, platoon that they like to employ here in doubleheaders. Jacobson gets one, Slayton gets the other. DeCoco has took her spots well and either induce weak contact or get strikes in the zone like that. Fix to keep you as up to date as possible on foul out and a strikeout. Was able a 1-2 count here. DeCoco trying to crack the Jumbo's pitching staff, specifically Emily Doty. Another great start. DeCoco to Lovejoy, breaking ball is you could see the noticeable difference of speed on that pitch to Lovejoy. And grounded to third, foul. A diving Moore, unable to deals, and that pitch is grounded right past her, and Steinberg will have to
I made it. I'm here.
Jordan Burke to set up your help here, and now you're back. Well, there was a batter of the game, which in a difference from game number 1 is Danny Torres-Wera instead of Lee, who unfortunately is out of the lineup for the second game.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for bringing me up to speed.
We're almost into the strike zone, and then they're out of it, which forced a swing and miss out of Torres-Wera. The 1-2 is outside, 2-2.
Yeah, so interesting thing to note of that drop ball is it's something that DeCoco hasn't used a whole lot, especially looking back to last year. Last year was just a healthy diet of sliders and screwballs moving away from batters or into batters, and that was her bread and butter, and it worked very well, as it does right there, moving away from that right-handed batter, nabs the outside zone, second strikeout, which, I mean, just a little bit of dominance from DeCoco to get this one started, picking up where she left for a while.
So no runs, no hits, no errors, no women left on base in a scoreless top of the first inning for Sophia DeCoco. We're headed to the bottom of the first inning now. Of course, a new pitcher on board for the Mammoths. It will be Audrey Orlowski, the sophomore out of Bentonville, Arkansas.
Battle of the Southpaws here in game number 2 of the doubleheader.
Let's take a look at the lineup for the Jumbos, as well as what has changed defensively here for the Mammoths. Bella Jimenez, Michelle Edelman, and Caitlin Perucci. The same by Steinberg, Moore, Lineback, Russo, Slayton, and Newman. Carrie Slayton getting the start for this second game. And there actually is a couple of changes here for Amherst. We're going to get you updated on that shortly. Poole is now at shortstop. Butler behind the dish. Finkelstein moving from first to second. Ronhell from second to third. And Moravec, who started this game.
All injury we saw from Autumn Lee in game 1 that moved her over to third base is starting to flare up a little bit right now, and that's why we are seeing the numerous amounts of defensive changes in the infield for the Mammoths in game number 2.
Jimenez fouls one back. .44 ERA, and a 2.06 WHIP. 18 innings pitched, has allowed a lot of tech. We'll see how she will fare here. That ball is zoned there in the Amherst defense will give Jimenez a single to lead.
Or left field side, that's no woman's land, and the best person to try and make a play on that is always going to be the outfielder, but when you're shying over towards center field, it becomes a little bit hard to run out and get down to the line, in which case the second basewoman needs to try and make the play there. Finkelstein almost
brings her up to, I believe, 3 for 5 on the day. Here's Michelle Edelman facing a 0-1 count. She will swing on that
left-right movement, but staying in that middle elevation of the plate. Hitters always like that position. It's the easiest to try and get behind and drive. And if she can dominate the movement game and get swings and misses, she'll have herself a pretty nice outing.
Looped again right down the right field line. That's going to land just fair. Same place, same result. 2 straight singles for the Jumbos to open up the first.
That one with 2 on and a low number, and weren't able to bring home any runs, but they did, however, put...
Poole is there to make the play. We can take a quick look once again. Finkelstein moving from first to second, and Morvek, who was at pitcher, over to first base, allowing for, once again, Lee to get a little bit of rest here in game number 2. Fouled off. So we've seen Audrey Orlowski work some nice pitcher's counts, but so far there are 2 women on with only 1 away after the first 3 batters have been faced.
Yeah, and she's really just doing a nice job at delivering pitches that a hitter or that one's going to get away. Runners will advance off of pitcher, giving batters pitches that they would like to swing at, and they're just perfectly placed either outside or for just biting very early on here in the game.
Pitch inside. Really good at driving. We'll make the play at third, and now Edelman. That will bring...
Quick conversation. Base running there by Edelman on what would be the new lead runner out of Mammoths there. Smart play, knowing that the run away. The only other runner on the... And the play is unable to be made. An error was committed in the infield off the ground ball. And this is where the loss of Autumn Lee is already starting to rear its ugly head. Ron Hell was playing second base in the previous game. It's a much shorter throw. You don't need to put as much on it. Now she's over in third base, where you almost give enough juice on that one. Second most steals on the team for the Jumbos. Exactly what Steinberg does. Beats out the throw back. Moore almost got caught, and they now find themselves with an early 2-0 lead.
You wonder if the decision or the plan for allow for the run to score regardless, but instead felt like they could just push in for the steal, and unfortunately, needs no first inning. But 2 runs come in off of 2 hits and an error out of Amherst. Welcome back, everybody, to Spicer Field. Sophia DeCoco back onto the mound for her second inning of work. Let's take a look at the defensive alignment as well as the Amherst lineup. Amherst went down 1-2-3 in the first, so they will be 7th, followed by Morvek at first, and Orlowski will get that spot behind the plate. In the outfield, and is Perucci, Edelman, and Newman. Moore, Steinberg, Jimenez, and Lime died. And the first pitch out of Poole is grounded softly to DeCoco. She fires to first and makes a nice athletic play.
Strikeout numbers are up this year, and the fly ball numbers are also up this year for DeCoco. But last year, it was ground balls every day, soft grounders that would come back to her. And as a lefty, when those go to the third base side, you have to make incredible athletic plays because your throwing hand is grabbing the ball, spinning around, and firing as hard as you can over to first to try and...
For strike 2.
DeCoco setting up nicely with her first 2 pitches inside and to the middle part of the plate, and then tries to get that strikeout pitch off of the outside to the right-handed batters. Saw that a lot from her last year when the strikeout numbers were lower, but now that she's throwing more drop balls and risers, strikeout numbers going up, trying to work back to where she was in last year with this at-bat.
It's a 2-2 count to Butler. Does have some power in that right-handed bat. Had a 2-home-run game against the University of New England with 6 RBIs back in Florida. Swings and misses, though, for strike 3. Another strikeout for DeCoco, and there's 2 away.
Her third of the game, kind of just showing you how dominant she has become as a pitcher. Last year was averaging about 3 to 4 strikeouts a game. Now is more in that 4 to 6 range, depending on the day and what type of a lineup she's facing, and already has 3 so far today. I mean, she's really just grown as a pitcher.
Randy Finkelstein now gets a shot for the first time here in Game 2. In there for strikes in the first matchup. Only 16 games into the season, so sample size DeCoco trying to make quick work of this second inning.
Count to a batter. And is ahead 1-2, 2 strikes on for Randy Finkelstein, who had 2 strikeouts in game number 1 and is primed to strike out again.
Grounded softly over to DeCoco. They ruled out a foul ball, I believe, that hit the plate before making its way into fair territory.
And a lucky break for the Jumbos. That ball took an awkward bounce and bounced away from the charging DeCoco. Had that not been ruled foul, Finkelstein almost certainly ends up on first.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 away. DeCoco deals. In there for strike 3. And Finkelstein is down. As we have our time between innings and the time between mayhem. We had to keep things, keep the alliteration going, Jordan. But I think actually for maybe one of the
answers for you. One, which I think is just the more, and I think the answer is very clearly in a ring against a featherweight boxer, and every single time the heavyweight boxer should come out. Current environment in which the elephants have all the different, first place, humans. So I think if you would no longer stand a chance.
But kick in this time around.
But
environment status, just because did I lie?
No.
Russo swings.
An example of it where a mammoth beat a jumbo.
The catcher, he's running all the way to second.
Up on second, the throw in from center had the third base coach Vincent Slayton could have ended up on third had she continued to run hard.
Excellent numbers, batting .333 with an .848 OPS, but not super aggressive, at least so far early on. If you're halfway between second and third and the catcher decides to throw to either base, you just take off for the one that's open.
Yeah, I mean, if you take that massive secondary lead and start to move, the catcher throws to second, I mean, there's nothing stopping you from just running. You're already in that accelerated motion from taking the runoff in the first place, so taking third should be pretty easy. And if the throw goes to third, well, you're already on second.
Third, Ronhell makes the play. They're going to throw over as Slayton advances off of the throw, but it's not in time.
Third, and in the event that the throw does get away from the third basewoman, Ronhell, then you have some solid base running tactics from Carrie Ann Slayton.
And she's now just 60 feet away from becoming the third run on the board. Not in time. An RBI single turned into 2 for Jimenez as the Jumbo's lead grows to 3.
Yeah, and now we're seeing the exact inverse of what happened her first time up. Anyone picked up that ball. Oh.
Somewhere in the left field, either by Takeda or by Ronhell, we're not entirely sure. Edelman takes ball 1.
Regardless, the Jumbos bring home their third run and have a fourth run in scoring position for Michelle Edelman, who already has...
For another run as Jimenez runs all the way home, or foul ball, I apologize.
Wow.
It looked from our angle that...
It was like the exact same hit on an exact same pitch to the exact same position it was before, except a quarter of an inch to the right.
1 ball, 1 strike now as Edelman back in the batter's box, takes ball 2.
Edelman had a lovely game 1, went 2 for 3, scored 2 runs, had a walk, and had that fielder's choice. That up in...
High fly ball into center field. Lovejoy is there to make the play, and that is the second inning. But to hold a lead early in this second matchup of the doubleheader. We'll be right back here on JumboCast. We've played 2 innings here in the batter's box as Sophia DeCoco has faced the minimum through these first 2. First pitch is in there for a strike. Ron Hell played second base in the first contest between these two teams.
Had one of the 2 hits that were recorded for the Mammoths.
And it was a bunt single, so we'll see if that becomes a factor here again. You can see that Moore count at 0-2. I don't know if Ron Hell would be as willing to do that.
Almost certainly not, but good thing to note that that was the way that the defense chose to play there, Andrew.
Called strike 3 again. 3 straight Ks for DeCoco. That's her 5th on the afternoon.
Single for Ron Hell in game number 1, and the defense was playing against that. Handled those almost perfect, prepared for that if it is to come their way.
Teams faced off, actually, in the NESCAC final. The only run scored in that 1-0 Mammoth victory was off of a bunt from Rachel Lovejoy.
Yeah, and you know how the runner got on base, Andrew, in that same inning? Ball to the pitcher, so it's effectively a bunt. You would only be slightly wrong if you called it a bunt, but in terms of the actual gameplay and how everything played out, exact same as a bunt.
As inside the zone, but instead the count goes to 2-2.
We always appreciate a good frame job from a catcher, but maybe it's a little hard to sell when you're halfway. Yeah, it's nice 2-strike approach there from the first basewoman, Moravec. Always, when you're in this position, just defend the plate. Anything that looks like a strike, you got to try and swing. You don't want to be called out on strikes, so do whatever you can to stay alive in the at-bat.
And does not fall for the bait. That drop pitch, you could see that Moravec was thinking about swinging, but was able to hold up. The count now 3-2. Here's the payoff. In there for strike 3, and Moravec knew it. 4 straight Ks, and there's 2 away in here in the top of the 3rd.
4 in a row with the last 3 caught looking.
DeCoco likes to work off of balls in play and not necessarily relying as much on the strikeout, but we would have eaten our words at that point. Only 2 balls, now 3 in play, as Steinberg will retire the side. 9 up, 9 down through the first 3, as DeCoco has struck out 6 herself. We're going to head to the bottom of the 3rd. Score still 3-0 Jumbos. Welcome back to Spicer Field. Jumbos up 3-0, headed into the bottom of the 3rd inning. It will be Perucci as the left fielder takes strike 1.
First time up, Perucci had that pop up to the short recorded by the Mammoths against Perucci, who was well out in front of that one.
Had a double and a home run, her first 2 at-bats of the day. Balls in play. The 0-2 from Orlovsky is down, so the count goes to 1-2.
Yeah, Orlovsky trying to go. DeCoco looking for something with motion versus Orlovsky trying to go something with velocity. That one's going to go back.
Line deep into right center field. That's going to go over to the wall. Extra bases for Caitlin Perucci. And another double for the freshman to lead off this spot.
0 for her last 3 immediately puts a damper on that one by hitting a nice little stand-up double to the right center gap. I kind of want to see a little bit more aggression, though, out of the Jumbos. You know, you have Randy Finkelstein playing second base. She just played first base where she didn't have a whole lot of work throwing the ball, and she was standing in the right field grass.
Right to Keta, and there's 1 away. Perucci back to second base.
Now, see, in another world where you send her around second as Finkelstein picks up the ball, maybe you beat the throw over to third, and you're standing there with a triple for Perucci, and that becomes a sac fly, and you tack on another run in the 3rd inning.
Here's Moore as she sends one into the right center field gap, and it's going to fall for a base hit. Fumbled by the center fielder of Lovejoy, and that's going to bring a run home. Over to 3rd comes Moore, and she will be upstanding every inning so far this game.
Yeah, I mean, just lovely piece of hitting there from Rachel Moore in the bout against Hamilton, or with speed, easily legging out a triple there. Jumbo's put up their 4th run of the day.
Orlowski trying to settle things and get out of this 3rd inning with only 1 run being allowed.
I do have to give credit to is the throw from Finkelstein over to 3rd, because all that does is make me seem like a fool for ever thinking that Caitlin Perucci should have tried to run on her and advance to 3rd if the throw was anything like what we just saw.
And that ball is laced into center field, going to be another base hit. Scoring easily is Moore, and it's another RBI.
Haley lineback that time, dealing with an inside pitch, just manages to pull that one enough over into left center field, giving Lovejoy no opportunity to run her on and looking to do more damage.
It's been 4 straight batters where Orlowski has given up hard contact. It was the double by Perucci to have been able to barrel the ball so far. Nicole Russo, certainly one who is capable of doing that as well. Now get Russo struck out. And a diving play by Poole to at least save a runner advancing, but she was unable to make the play at second base as the speed.
Halfway to, one could even say 2/3 towards that 3rd base side, going up the middle to rob the Jumbos of having a runner on 3rd base. Even tried to make the glove flip play to Finkelstein, but with the speed from lineback getting there in time and just a slightly off flip, no out to be recorded, and the Jumbo.
As Russo reaches base for the 2nd time today. Here's Slayton on a 1-0. Takes it downstairs.
Slayton in her 2nd time up in as many innings, doubled her last time up out towards right center. See what she can do with her 2nd time up at the plate.
Orlowski deals, pitches, lined, foul. The umpire had to duck to get out of the way.
Yeah, it was like something out of the Matrix. Saw the ball coming towards him, didn't even step out of the way. He just ducked, fully just ducked. It was incredible. Want to talk about athleticism?
Yeah.
Peak athleticism right there.
And with the exit velo of that, had to react fast. Here's the 1-2 to Slayton. She's
able to recognize that the wind has not changed since game 1, still carrying out to dead center, so all fly balls are going to travel a little bit further than they usually would.
So now 2 outs, still 2 runners on. And here comes Lindsay Newman to try and tack on some more for the Jumbos. A nice block coming out from Butler, but still a ball nonetheless. Lineback at 2nd, Russo at 1st. A hit would likely extend the lead to 6. Here's the 1-0 in there for a strike.
I'm going to take this opportunity to get out ahead of a potential problem that might arise. I just got a text message saying
The 3rd, Rangel makes the tag.
through. Feel free to leave a comment, let us know, and then we'll try and just get ahead of that as soon as we possibly can. But we're trying to go for the tag play to end the inning. Might not have been the smartest of choices. Works out for the Mammoths in the end.
Does make a little bit of sense there, but I do agree. Of Tufts softball. The Jumbos looking to extend their NESCAC doubleheader sweep against Amherst. This is not the same Jumbos offense and providing some really big, offensive
change for the Mammoths and dominating the matchup. This is the team that they viewed as perhaps the toughest to beat in the NESCAC about every single way imaginable.
And that complete game against Amherst in the NESCAC championship game has yet to allow one here today, entering the 4th, and now has the top of the Mammoth lineup to deal with. Takeda struck out in her first at-bat. Will look to be...
Andrew, you highlighted the success that Sophia DeCoco already been named in all of
misses on these pitches, even to a player as back to the pitcher, and DeCoco will be there to record the first out of the 4th.
Yeah, so we throws, but right there, that's the more natural play for a left-handed pitcher where you would like to throw anyway. So it's an easy flip on over for DeCoco to record her.
bouncer that she had to.
This had a strikeout and a foul out to the catcher in game number 1, and you mentioned
Torres Hera is on deck. Ball is grounded, foul. Count stays at 1-2.
Yeah, that was a mistake pitch from DeCoco trying to go Joy just on top of that one, well out in front. Had she been just Lovejoy putting up a nice at-bat here in the top of the 4th. Found herself in a 2-strike situation and has looked really solid defending the plate since.
The 1-2. Dropper. And Lovejoy did not bite. Right from the eye, at least from us here in the broadcast booth. Here's the 2-2. And she fires to first for the second out.
Second time now that Lovejoy's grounded out to Josie Steinberg, the reigning NESCAC Defensive Player of the Year, showing some of that prowess yet again.
And impressive defensive efforts from Steinberg all season and throughout her entire career. Started off as a catcher as her sister Mia was in that shortstop position, but has seamlessly transitioned to just excellent play. No matter to the plate, struck out her first time up.
Torres Wera, another Mammoth hitless on the day. Really, everyone 1 through 9 in this lineup is looking to have given up runs in every inning of game number 2 and are yet to find some success against Sophia DeCoco.
And quickly, Torres Wera, I should say, apologies, is down 0-2 in the count. DeCoco looking to wrap up this 4th. Going 1-2-3. Here's the pitch. Grounded to Jimenez. And she makes the play, and that will do it here in the top of the 4th. Another 1-2-3 inning for Sophia DeCoco. Score 5-0 Jumbos. We'll be right back.
Amherst goes 1, 2, 3.
We enter the bottom of the 4th inning, score 5-0 Jumbos as they look to sweep the Mammoths out of Spicer Field in their meeting here in 2023. It seems like the day for Dylan Briggs has come to a close. Wera, who just grounded out to end the 4th, she is going to come onto the mound where she has seen a lot of success throughout this year.
Yeah, Orlowski pretty much living up to the numbers as they say. The 3.18 ERA definitely going to be inflated right now as she did give up 5 in the 3 innings that she pitched. But now is probably the best time ever to swap towards your ace in Danny Torres Wera, pitching with an under 1 ERA here as now that she has entered the game. We truly do have the revenge game of Torres Wera versus DeCoco on the mound. Amherst Mammoths.
This is her 9th appearance on the mound. Torres Wera with a .93 ERA, 30 innings pitched, 27 strikeouts, and she'll be facing the top of the Jumbos order.
I saw from you was just as much as I had, Andrew. Didn't know quite what that hit, but it appears that it hit off of the mask of the catcher. Not something you see a whole lot of.
Jimenez 2 for 2 with 2 bloop singles to each side of the outfield, 1 to right, 1 to left. Which is laced foul. I don't know if you're familiar with the show Cyberspace. It was a children's show on PBS Kids that ran for many years while I was a child. But there was an episode where they played an iteration of baseball, and the goal was to hit it not like for base hits or anything, but to different regions of the outfield. And it was a math show. You taught the angles that you had to swing at to get the ball to different locations. I feel like that's what we're going here with Jimenez as she takes ball 2.
You know, I'm familiar with the show, but I don't quite recall that episode. I see, growing up, I was more of a Phineas and Ferb guy.
Oh, I mean, me too. But
So they didn't really teach me anything other than anything you dream of, you can build yourself, and that you're never too young to do anything.
the 2-2, Jimenez sails one into the bleachers in right field, or into the bullpen, I should say. Was a big fan of that show as well.
They also taught me that a bond of best friends between a platypus and an evil scientist is also possible.
And also that my summer vacation should be a little bit longer than it was. Here's the 2-2. It's fouled back again.
Solid at bat from Jimenez, putting up a good fight against Danny Torres-Guerra, who's looking for her first out of the day. If I look over at my stat sheet real quick, 27-6 strikeout to walk ratio for Torres-Guerra, so expect her to win these.
Another fly ball to left field. Takeda settles under it to record the first out of the inning.
Yeah, and that's where you can get a lot of these Jumbo's hitters to take the bait. You leave them something a little high up in the zone, but they're not very adept at hitting these high pitches. I mean, especially if you look towards last season and towards the earlier parts of this season, that's where you were seeing a whole lot of outs, like what we just saw there. You see these batters taking the bait, trying to put everything they have into these pitches high up in the zone, but they're just under it, so it doesn't get out. It only goes up, and you get a whole lot of flyouts that way against the Jumbos.
Here's Edelman. Count 1-1. Edelman singled and then flew out to center field her last time up.
Game number 1, Edelman had 2 additional singles, so a whole lot of base hits on the day for her.
As she will loop that one into center field for another base hit.
Yeah, the one thing we haven't seen from Edelman so far today is stolen base.
Well, she did have one.
Oh, right, she did.
Although it might have been
That is my
classified as
bad.
something else.
That is my bad. She did have that initial stolen base and then ran first to home in about 6 seconds flat.
The speed is really imminent, really evident, I should say, after you see how quickly it is for Edelman to get around that quickly. She's going to go again. The throw in is not in time as Poole can't make the tag. It was a nice throw from Butler, but
Personal goal for herself last season to have 30 stolen bases, didn't quite get there, and this season, imagine the mark was set at a pretty similar number. She thinks she has the caliber to have, has the speed caliber to have a 30 stolen base season. So yeah, I feel like imminent was a perfectly fair description for a potential steal, especially when it is Michelle Edelman that you're talking about.
I believe that is number 11 now on the season for the center fielder.
Last season had 15, so she's getting up there quick.
Still a lot of softball to be played. Perucci faces a 2-0 count. Torres-Guerra deals, and that pitch is lined and off the foot of Poole. And that means that Perucci will reach. It was a hard hit ball, and it will yield runners on first and second for Josie Steinberg.
That one's going to be ruled an E6. Poole had the potential to make a play there. She did get in front of it pretty quickly, and with how hard the ball came off the bat, probably could have gotten a throw over as well, but just not fielding that one cleanly. Edelman almost broke off the bat, just assuming that with that type of velocity, it would get out of the infield for sure.
Russo sends one down the... Josie Steinberg 0 for 2 with the fielder's choice and a flyout to left field.
Steinberg is acting as what would be the Jumbo's 8th run if she manages to find the long ball. So the Jumbo's
has 1 home run on the season, had 2 in 2022. But definitely has but unable to get to it is Butler, so we'll head right back to home plate and play that 0-2 pitch again.
position and run about 2/3 down the baseline to try and make a play on the foul ball. You would rather prefer the first basewoman attempt to make a play, but no move was made by Moravec.
0-2 is smoked into right center field, and that's going to go down for a base hit all the way to the wall. Goes Lovejoy, 1 run scores. Here comes another, or sorry, it just is one coming across as Edelman had to sit at second base to wait for the ball.
For the Jumbos has tripped us up with who
Yeah.
comes in to score. But regardless, a nice piece of hitting there from Josie Steinberg, finding the right center, and Steinberg at second for the batter, Rachel Moore, who already has an RBI triple on the day.
Moore takes one low for a ball, was Rachel Moore. So apologies there. It was only one run that came in off of that double. The 1-0 is again lined, but right over to Ron Hell for Rachel Moore, but there are 2 away.
Jumbo's barely not getting double up there. Hard hit from Moore right into the glove of Ron Hell. You had Perucci play at second, but not a super accurate throw to try and double up Josie Steinberg. So either way, huge out for the Mammoths. Now 1 run.
Baseman who was at second for the 1-1. Linebacker has a single and a ground out here in game number 1. And the count goes to 1-2.
Torres Huera, second team All-NESCAC last season. Definitely making a pretty good campaign for first team this season if she continues to have the excellence that she's had so far. But the Jumbo's trying to put a...
That pitch is upstairs. Haley Lineback entered this game, or entered today, hitting .385. Here's a 2-2. Just outside.
Jumbos, who had 11 3-ball counts in game number 1, get their first right here. Full count, 2 out, runners on second and third.
A big pitch here for Torres Huera. She'll fire. High fly ball into left field. Takeda will make the play, and that will end the 4th. But the Jumbos get another run across, score now 6-0. DeCoco makes her way out for her 5th inning of work. We'll be right back after this.
And the Tufts 4th, 1 run.
Jumbo's leading this one 6-0. Andrew Howe alongside Jordan Burke for the call. Reminder to check out our other events going on JumboCast tomorrow. On JumboCast, and make sure to stay tuned for that. Poole sends one deep into left field, and that one is gone. A first pitch swing out of Sadie Poole, and the Mammoths get their first run on the board.
Third home run of the season for Sadie Poole.
Sadie Poole with her 3rd home run of the game, and just a beautiful piece of hitting. We were trying not to say it, Andrew, but up until that point, DeCoco had been perfect. No runners allowed on the bases, and I guess a little bit of overconfidence coming into play. The last time Poole came up, had a small dribble ground ball right back to DeCoco, got thrown out on her way over to first. But right there with just what was nothing less than a beautiful piece of hitting after every single one of her teammates had been effectively shut down by DeCoco. Gets a nice pitch on the inside that got pulled all the way out of here.
It was like a line drive. There was almost no arc on that ball. Similar to like a blast, if you want to make a reference back to the Major League Baseball of Giancarlo Stanton, just sailing right out of there. Kind of on a straight trajectory.
The only difference is Stanton would do that to the short porch, where it's a unicorn home run out in only one stadium. However, that would pretty much go out in any softball stadium that there is. And the wind carrying out definitely assisting there, as that ball just got over the height of the wall. Regardless, it would have been extra bases, but instead ends up being a 1 spot on 1 pitch.
A pinch hitter here for the Mammoths. Devin Wilderman, the sophomore, entering the game, replacing Butler, at least for the moment. Both players do get time behind the plate, so there is the potential for this to be a more permanent. Count 1-1.
You know, if we go back to the Poole home run, I'm replaying it in my head. The pitch sequence works now.
Ground ball to Moore.
Outside to the right-handed batters, or with the change side, the middle, and the outside.
You'd imagine that it would just be DeCoco going back to what was working for her. I mean, just the next batter after that, another ground ball recorded for an out. That was the first ball hit out of the infield, and it went all the way out of the entire ballpark. Swing and a miss.
Last time up, Finkelstein struck out looking. 0 for 3 on the day. All 3 of her at-bats have ended in strikeout. Do what you do best if you are Randy Finkelstein and crush one for her for what would be her 7th home run of the year.
DeCoco potentially trying to make Finkelstein chase a little bit with some of those balls in the dirt. Count now 2-1. One away here in the top of the 5th. Swing and a miss. Down low. Not necessarily a pick or a block attempt by Slayton, but you can see that she's targeting that low and away area. 2 away.
Yeah, positioning. It is kind of in the direction of deep towards that first base. So once someone had said, hey, like you have a chance, go, she dropped the bat and started kicking it into.
The third baseman hits it to the third baseman, and that'll end the 5th. But Amherst, Jumbo's lead, 6-1. We're back here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Jumbo's lead 6-1, but Amherst got on returning to her spot in the infield as some substitutions, or I guess behind the plate. Russo is up again.
1 for 2 on the run. Her entire time since she's come into this game, dishing a whole lot of pitches up in the zone, exactly where the hitters want it to be, but the movement that she has on it has stifled Russo so far in this at-bat from putting anything in the field of play.
Russo down 0.
Play off the back of the net there by Wilderman. However, doesn't count for an out. Just looks flashy.
Russo already has 2 hits on the day, and she will foul that one back. Of course, that's dating back to the first game that we played. She's
between a hitter who makes good contact every time she's up at the plate versus a pitcher who's trying to get those swings and misses with enticing pitches.
Here's the 0-2. The breaking ball dropped out of sight, and Russo did not swing at it.
Yeah, as you can see there, first pitch that isn't in that middle to upper third of the strike zone, and Russo doesn't even bother to think about it. So we'll see if Torres Guerra goes back to pitches upstairs to try and get Russo.
High fly ball down the left field line. It'll sail foul. Count stays at 1-2.
2 years ago, almost certainly someone goes home with a souvenir if it were 2 years ago. However, all the fans inside right now, right in front of us.
And in safety of those fly balls, or foul balls, sorry, that sail back into the netting a little bit better than they might have been back in 2021.
Sure, but I always think it would be a interesting situation if you removed the back net and all the foul backs, you just had to try and avoid them.
No, I don't think that would be good
Or
at all.
you could put a defensive player in the back, and if you foul backwards, ooh, good hit.
Poole bobbles it, fires to first, and gets the out. A strong throw out of Sadie Poole, and Russo is retired.
What was seemingly a bang-bang play just going in favor of the Mammoths, even after the bobble, getting the call at the bases. Good throw over from Poole. Started off in third base, shifted over to shortstop, and has looked like she belonged there the whole time.
Now, I want to go back to that point that you were making, Jordan. Have you ever heard of banana ball?
As in the Savannah Bananas?
Yes.
I don't know where you're going with
So-
this, but I'm a little scared.
Slayton takes a strike. The rules of banana balls are a little bit different than traditional baseball, and one of them actually is if a fan catches a ball put into play foul, it's recorded as an out. And so
Interesting.
that would be a very similar strategy to the one that you're proposing here with the netting coming down. Slayton?
I am proposing something similar. That was Slayton's second fly out to right field, by the way. So the outfielders yet again getting a good amount of work here for the Mammoths. My proposition was more rosters expand by one. Not that there's really a limit on how big a roster can be in Division III softball anyway, but you play a 10th defensive player who would sit effectively where our camera is right now, like second catcher.
That would be a very difficult position to play. I mean, there's just so much ground to cover. It's the entire back half. I mean, the foul balls can kind of go anywhere.
Well, I would then propose you have a second boundary condition, kind of like a left side, right side, kind of where the poles are now, and those would be how far out to your left or your right you can go.
Would you wear the catcher's gear?
Yeah, I'd have to imagine you probably would, although an argument could be made to not. But regardless, I do think could be an interesting thing.
Lindsey Newman is down 0-2 in the count. Torres Ware trying to escape with a scoreless fifth. Takes that one upstairs for ball one.
You saw Newman wanted to bite at that one. Last year, she was by far the Jumbo's best hitter in that upper third of the strike zone. This year, it's kind of toned it down a little bit. You got her to chase a lot when the ball was up there. Now she's looking more middle and down like her teammates. Right there, you see exactly what I'm talking about. Pitch more in that middle outside region of the plate, and that's now where Newman likes to put balls into play. She does right there for a base hit. That'll be her first of the day. And it's that type of evolution as a player from her freshman year to her sophomore year that has really sparked Lindsey Newman and cemented her in right field or in the lineup entirely, as occasionally you will see her move into that DP position.
Traditionally, you think righty wanting to hit to left field, but in that situation with the ball outside, getting over the right side actually gives you a better shot. Here's Jimenez. She'll pop one foul. Jimenez is 2 for 3 this game, 2 singles and a flyout. Count now 0-2. Newman on first base, just outside.
Torres Wera trying to do her best Coco impression by trying to paint the outside edge against these right-handed batters. Yet to record a strikeout is Torres Wera, has found a lot of fly balls in her stand in the circle so far today.
You see the Jumbos battling throughout this entire inning, just working these at-bats, even if the count doesn't go into their favor. Playing defensively, fouling pitches away, and making sure that they're able to see as many pitches as possible and potentially put some in play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jumbos up 6-1 in the bottom of the 5th inning. Newman on first. Bella Jimenez will face off against Torres Ware. The pitch is looped into right field. That's going to fall for a base hit. Newman will advance to second, and there's now 2 on with 2 away.
Second time now that Jimenez has used the opposite field for her base hit. Also the second batter in a row that has gone the other way for the Jumbos. And you see that a lot from this team and in softball in general, when you do have pitchers who try to work outside to record their strikeouts. Once, that kind of gets recognized by any hitter, they'll start to work on that between games and even during at-bats entirely, because you're never going to be able to pull a pitch outside. It's just easier to try and go the other way, and we saw back-to-back Jumbos using the opposite field for base hits.
Now, the game number 1 ended in the bottom of the 5th inning while Michelle Edelman was at the plate. A wild pitch brought home the game-clinching run to send the lead up to 9. A similar situation is in play right at the moment. Edelman at the plate could end the game with a swing.
Yeah, definitely a different situation, as it would physically be impossible for a wild pitch to end this game. Even if there were enough wild pitches and pass balls to score the runners on the bases, Edelman would still need to score herself. So I guess that's a bright spot if you are the Mammoths. You know, you do have this looming threat of the mercy rule that is now in effect. Even if the Jumbos don't manage to bring home 3 more in this inning, you do have, you know, the decrease factor where it's 8 after 5, 7 after 6. So if only the runners on the bases do come home, you've bought yourself a little bit of extra time, but you're not quite out of the woods.
1-2 to Edelman. Foul back.
See, that's where second catcher could record out number 3, Andrew.
But if she's positioned like right behind home plate, that's an almost impossible grab to make.
I'm thinking like right here, elevated above the catcher.
If you had the opportunity to run over there, would you be able to make that play?
You know what? I would try. I'd replace the cement. Oh,
Edelman sends one deep into left field. Going back is Takeda looking, and it's off the wall. 1 run scores. In comes Jimenez. She will score as well. Going for third is Edelman. The throw is not in time. Or a triple coming out for Michelle Edelman, as she will drive in 2 runs. Score 8-1 in favor of the Jumbos.
Michelle Edelman does it again. Every time that she finds herself up at bat with a runner in scoring position, puts up the fight of her life. Sometimes she comes up empty-handed, but I would bet more often than not that she would put a ball in play. Right there, beautiful piece of hitting. Almost had the distance to end it with 1 swing, just not getting enough of it to drive it out of bounds and mimic what Sadie Poole had done in the top of the 5th. Instead, a little short, 2 runs come home, and now what would be the game-winning run 60 feet away for Caitlin Perucci.
Perucci with a double already this game. She takes strike 1.
Perucci does have that double, came around to score later on in that inning, also reached on an E6. She is by far the hottest bat in the Jumbos lineup. As coming into today, Andrew, you did say 11 for 14, then recorded 2 hits in her first 2 at-bats in game number 1. So 13 for 16 before going down 3 in a row. So I believe we're now at 14 for 19, which is still an incredible clip. And right now, the hit that matters most wins the game.
Perucci falls behind 1-2. Torres-Guerra trying to give the Mammoths another chance. The pitch. Upstairs. 2-2.
It's almost to end it, but it does have that same sort of gravitas to it.
The 2-2. Swung on to short. Pool to 1 Jumbos. We're headed to the 6th after this. We've played 5 innings of this second game. 10 innings total, I guess, if you count what happened in game number 1, or maybe 9.5. It is the top of the 6th inning as Sophia DeCoco comes out once again. Has only allowed 1 hit and 1 run. That was the solo shot out of Sadie Poole, who made a nice play at short to end the 5th inning.
I'll take this opportunity to amend some previous statements. I've been operating, however, That is incorrect. It's 8 runs the entire way through. So if the Mammoths do not put up a run here, they just need to avoid the Jumbos putting up a 1 spot of their own in the bottom of the 6th in order to continue play into the 7th.
Regardless, it would be nice to get some insurance or get some runs and cut into the lead a little bit, at least here in the 6th if you are Amherst. It's been a tough day at the plate so far. Of course, only 1 hit being that home run today in game number 2. DeCoco has worked a 1-2 count against Moravec and deals inside for ball 2.
Yeah, on the day, the Mammoths have a collective 3 hits, which is equal to the amount of errors they have committed in this game alone. Not quite the showing that you would like to have in what is the rematch of the NESCAC Championship from the 2022 season.
Outside, 3-2. The count goes full. It will be Moravec. And then I think Orlowski will remain down for a base hit into right field. So a leadoff single for Moravec will put a runner on for the Mammoths with nobody away.
Agnes, who is hitting above that 400 line. Obviously, that might have dipped down slightly below. She was pushing the border and then struck out in her first at-bat of this game. I believe also did not have a hit in game number 1 where she did pitch. However, right there, good piece of 3-2 hitting. Full count, every pitch matters in those situations, and DeCoco's pitch was just in a prime spot to hit out into right field, giving Newman her first bit of work on the day.
Here in game number 2, it was just the home run. So if other than that, just in the infield, and maybe they can get one here. On the second, the throw to first, Jimenez is not able to catch that ball in time. A nice 3-6-4, but unfortunately only 1 out recorded as Orlowski was able to get over there. Fielder's choice is the ruling.
Yeah, smart play there by lineback at first, recognizing the clear play is to get that lead runner. Opportunity to try and get the double play, however, does not come into fruition for the Jumbos. Bunt, foul.
Takeda very, very quick on the base path, and with the struggles that the Mammoths have had so far at the plate, you can understand why they're trying to get and play more small ball now with the runner on base.
If I remember correctly, in that championship game, the bunt single that later came around to score was Megan Takeda.
She's going to try again.
Foul.
Goes foul, and so now the count 0-2. You imagine that Takeda will be swinging. 0-2, struck out and grounded softly to DeCoco, her second time up in the 4th inning. 0-2 is the count. Here's the pitch. Runner goes. The throw is not going to be made. Slayton bobbles it on the block, and so Orlowski will be able to reach second.
Able to pick the ball up fast enough, and with that secondary run coming off from Orlovsky, way to get back for it.
DeCoco right back to her. The runner advances over to third as Orlowski.
Another fielder's choice coming into fruition for the Amherst Mammoths. Runner in Orlowski home. Over to first. Stumbled a little bit before making the throw. Nice work by lineback to reel that one in.
The 1-0 gets a little bit away from Slayton, but Orlowski does not want to risk going for home.
Mammoths don't want to risk any injury that is not necessary.
2-0 is lined off the glove of DeCoco is Lovejoy, and a run comes in. It's 8-2 in favor of Tufts.
Hard hit ball right at the pitcher. Play at first. Throwing over, committing that error only puts another runner in scoring position after one has already been given up. I don't know if that was necessarily the...
Torres Guerra sends one down the right field line and foul. Off of DeCoco's glove to get the runner to first. The 0-1, grounded foul, 0-2. It seemed like Steinberg didn't really have a play at that point. I mean, after grazing off of the glove, it took a lot of time for the shortstop to collect it. Would have taken a huge amount of velocity to get that in before Lovejoy touched the first base bag.
I think that's just one of those.
DeCoco does allow a run, but still maintains a 6-run lead
DeCoco tying her season high. The Jumbos cannot manage to put up 2 runs of their own in the bottom of the 6th. Everything seemingly will remain the same in the game. Josie Steinberg would be due up first, and the is now. But, yeah, and Andrew, I completely agree with you. I don't think there was any chance at making the play. However, in the small percentage of the times where you are able to throw out that runner, the run that comes home, the run that came home would not have counted. So I guess I can see why you would attempt to make the throw, but if that runner on second ended up coming around to score, it starts to become a little bit more of a questionable decision that was made in the attempt to throw over.
And at the end of the day, doesn't matter all too much, as Lovejoy was unable to get around the bases after a strikeout from Torres Guerra. So DeCoco escapes with only 2 runs allowed off of 3 hits, and the Jumbos will try to shorten her night by an inning if they can put 2 on the board here in the bottom of the 6th.
4, 5, and 6 hitters should be due up for the Jumbos. Steinberg, Moore, and the lineback, barring any potential pinch hitters that might come into the game. Josie Steinberg is an unknown amount for 3 because I don't have what happened in the top or the bottom of the 4th. I just have that there was an RBI.
Steinberg doubled in the 4th, so 1 for 3.
Right. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. It's just a random blank spot sitting on my page.
That's why you got 2 of us
staring
taking
there,
both.
mocking me.
The 0-1 is driven high in the air to left field. Takeda makes the play, 1 away.
Megan Takeda getting a solid amount of work today. If I am counting correctly, from this game alone, 4 fly balls out to left field for the Jumbos, all reeled in by Takeda. Going back to game 1, you can throw another one in the books for her.
Moore sends one deep into right field. Back is Kong, and she makes the play for the 2nd out of the inning.
3 pitches and 2 outs for Torres Guerra after her team manages to throw 1 more run on the board for her and make the potential for a mercy rule for the Jumbos even harder. She's getting through these bows quickly.
Now, of course, Amherst offense hasn't been the greatest, at least the first 1.5 games that we have played, but if the game continues the way it has been going, at least in this inning, and it's a 6-run deficit, you can never rule anything out. Of course, the offense still is there. DeCoco has been generally very, very strong, but they've been able to get a run across in each of the last 2 innings, and would be no time like the present to have a rally to end all rallies.
2 runs, 3 hits, they made 3 errors. Jumbos sweep the doubleheader. They improved to 19-1 overall, 4-0 NESCAC.
Welcome back, everybody. We would like to sincerely apologize for some of the internet issues that have plagued us throughout the day. But as our connection did go out, the Jumbos did end the game there, Jordan, off of a 1-2-3 inning out of Sophia DeCoco. The Jumbos overall allowed just 5 hits in 2 games, as they basically proved themselves as the better team against the Amherst Mammoths, who defeated them in the NESCAC championship game just 1 year ago.
Yeah, very well said there, Andrew. Just to give the quick recap of what happened in that top of the 7, Sadie Poole pop up to the third basewoman Moore, Wilderman down on a strikeout, and Finkelstein ground out 5-3 to put this game in the books. As you said, Andrew, 19-1 now the record for the number 9 overall in the U.S. rated Tufts Jumbos now find themselves 4-0 in the NESCAC, which will put them right where they were to begin the day at number 1 in the NESCAC, leading all teams that we have here. And, statement game from them. They wanted revenge. They wanted to come back and beat the team that just barely eked out a win against them in that NESCAC championship game. And it's exactly what they do, as they win Game 1 via the mercy. Game 2 put up another 8 runs in order to come out on top. So all around good showing by every single Jumbo who managed to play in the games today.
And again, we'd like to apologize for some of the shortages of power of internet connection that allowed for that the 7th inning to not be played, as well as some other choppy coverage throughout We're working on it as best as we can. Spicer Field has rather far away from any other place in the university, which means it's hard to get connection around here. We are trying our best, and we will hope for the best as we continue to move forward in the softball season. But I've been Andrew Howe, alongside Jordan Burke. I'd like to thank Niles Lowe and Ethan Grubelich for being on the broadcast and helping us out behind the scenes. We're going to say so long from Spicer. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll be right back tomorrow here for another Tufts doubleheader.